The political establishment running scared right now from bloggers armed with video cameras or cell phone cameras. This thing seems to do some recording. The National Republican Senate Committee sending out a memo warning campaign staffers against becoming, quote, verbally abusive or making physical contact with videographers. I guess it implies physical contact and verbal abuse is fine as long as you're not dealing with a videographer. The memo, a direct response to a video I think we showed you recently. Oh, no, this is a different one, showing men physically removing a videographer from a rooftop event for Democratic Senate nominee Alexei Janulius. Earlier this week, Democratic Congressman Bob Etheridge was caught on camera manhandling a young student after he asked a question. Lawmakers say they're growing frustrated with so-called guerrilla-style reporters. Do these videos actually provide a public service, or is it a brand of political entrapment? This is the question. What is the answer, Brent? What are they afraid of, and should we be allowed to record our politicians on our cell phone cameras if they're walking around in public or not?
Well, I'm not a very big fan of Hollywood paparazzi, and I'm not a huge fan of randomly recording people. In the case of Congressman Etheridge, however, we had a couple, whether or not they were students or whoever they were, we had a couple guys ask him, do you support President Obama's agenda? That's all they asked him. If you listen to the audio, that's all they asked him.
You're off topic.
And the guy immediately jumped on him and started grabbing the guy's hand
I know, but Brent,
after that question.
Brent, I got a limited amount of time. You want to pick a particular instance or not? I could care less. Are you comfortable with cell phone recording, or are you only comfortable with cell phone recording if it's a Democrat you don't like saying something you think is stupid?
Well, look,
or what if it was a Republican you did like saying something that you did? In other words, is your view on cell phone recording specific to your political agenda, and that you're in favor of them when they portray people you don't like doing stupid things, but otherwise wouldn't want that? Or what are you saying here, my man?
No, like I said, I'm not a big fan of the paparazzi in Hollywood. I'm not a huge fan of this. However, if you're a public official at a public event, that's a different story. I think it's fine to record public officials when they're at public events.
Cenk, what do you think here?
I think this is actually an indictment of the mainstream media, because they so rarely, with the exception of this show, and I'm serious about that because you do ask the politicians tough questions, but the rest of the mainstream media, they don't ask them any tough questions. So when they get a tough question, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, and it's not even a tough question, things like, are you in favor of the Obama agenda? They panic. They've never had a hard question. So they're thrown by it. They're like, wow, a citizen asked me a question, and that guy physically accosted him. It's totally unacceptable. Either say, hey, you know what, it's not that hard. I do pre-scheduled interviews only. That's it. Or answer the guy's question. It's a fine question.
But should there be legislation and or protection for officials from being recorded in public at public events from people who are holding cameras in their hands? There's talk about preventing police from being recorded in 3 states right now.
No, Brent, I don't think so. I don't think we need legislation protecting more politicians.
All right, listen, a pleasure. Yeah. You guys did a fine job of mixing it up. It's a summer Friday. We needn't get ourselves in too much of a state of dismay, although there's a lot of dismay to go around.